Hello everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to be talking about depression.
Hello, darkness.
No, not that kind of depression.
Oh my God!
And not that kind either. More importantly, we're going to be looking at a commercial that wishes to profit off depressed people, which in my opinion is one of the most sick and abominable things.
Insert cash with select payment type.
To take advantage of a depressed person is to be insane. It's insane. It's an insane thing to do. Dare I say, it's a little bit silly. It's an extremely crazy thing to do, and an even crazier thing to witness and watch. Which is why I thought for today's video, let's watch the commercial advertising suicide as a paid treatment for depressed people.
Everything's wrong! The stress of my modern office has caused me to go into a depression.
Depression? Isn't that just a fancy word for feeling bummed out?
Dwight, you ignorant slut! Depression is a very serious illness. Over 32,000 people commit suicide every year, according to a 2004 study.
Is that the last year that data was available?
Yes? My head is in such pain and turmoil!
So I just want to be really clear here. What I am about to show you is one of the most dystopian, Orwellian, 1984, Animal Farm, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451, Clockwork Orange thing I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Good grief, I almost ran out of breath there.
Breathe air! Breathe!
Last breaths are sacred. When I imagine my final days, I see bubbles. I see the ocean. I see music. Even now, as I seek help to end my life, there is still so much beauty. You just have to be brave enough to see it.
I don't even know if I want to really make fun of this commercial because it's beyond messed up. I don't have to say what's wrong with it. I just have to show it to you and you will understand what's wrong with it. The fact that they put up her birth and death dates in the commercial is one of the most saddening things I think I've ever seen. It is just so beyond messed up. So in case any of you guys are wondering, this ad was created by a fashion company, believe it or not, a Canadian fashion company called Les Massan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but frankly, I don't really care, as they are a company that is promoting assisted suicide as beauty, which is why at the end of the commercial they say all is beauty. But I'm sorry, having disadvantaged people pay you for you to help them commit assisted suicide is not beautiful in the slightest. In fact, it's pretty ugly, if I had to say so myself. What absolute psychopath actually thinks that this is a good thing? Oh, you know what? This New York Post article actually tells us exactly what psychopath would think this is a good thing. And that is the CEO of the company who created this ad. When they asked him about what the meaning of the ad was, he said that the ad aimed to help people to reconnect to each other and to this hope and optimism, which he says is going to be needed if we're going to build the sort of communities and spaces where we want to live and that are enjoyable to live in. That is insane. That is sicko behavior. That is one of the most illogical statements ever expounded by a human being since the beginning of the creation of the world. My goodness. Okay, now that we're done reacting to that Forsaken ad, let's see what some other people have to say about the assisted suicide that is going on in Canada.
No, Ben, I really think you need to take a step back here. I think getting some perspective would be good.
What are you talking about?
I've known you a long time, and right now, you need help.
With my claymation?
With your life. You are wildly, insanely depressed.
Depressed? I'm the furthest thing from depressed. I mean, look at what I've accomplished. Do you see him? Do you think a depressed person could make this? No.
I Psychiatrists are trained to deal with people in crisis. But some are now having their own crisis of confidence when it comes to medically assisted dying.
Oh, you don't say. Who would have thought? Psychiatrists have a problem with assisted suicide. That's crazy. I can't believe it.
Our role as therapists, as psychiatrists, is in suicide prevention. And so to ask us to then facilitate suicide is very dissonant.
Yeah, extremely dissident. Very in opposition to official policy.
The laws around medical assistance in dying, or MAID, are set to expand, including Canadians with mental illness.
Wow, what a great idea. Like, just imagine that. You're like in the doctor's office and they're just like, oh, you have a mental illness? Man, do I have a cure for you.
But medical experts across the country warn Canada's healthcare system is not ready.
But we already know there's not really clear consensus on a definition of, for example, what it means for someone to have a mental illness that is incurable or irremediable. So we already know there's this risk of inconsistent application of MAID.
So if there's such great risk for something that has such dangerous consequences, then why are we doing it?
When MAID became legal 7 years ago, only patients with a terminal illness were eligible. In 2019, a Quebec judge ruled this restriction was unconstitutional, so Parliament amended the bill.
In my view, mental illness is no different than any other medical illness. I believe that doctors are quite capable of assessing people with psychiatric illness and coming to the same conclusions that they have for people who have, cancer or lung disease or neurological disorders.
Oh, you're feeling a little sad and lonely today? Oh, well, don't worry. This is completely humane in every conceivable way. I mean, how could it not be? We're just gonna kill you. That's all. Like, come on.
We are so angry and insulted at how they just all turn their heads.
Tricia Nichols told a parliamentary committee that her brother Alan was suicidal when he checked into the Chilliwack Hospital July 16, 2019. 10 days later, he died with medical assistance.
How can our government even be looking at expanding MAID laws? There are currently no laws protecting the vulnerable or their families from MAID.
Yeah, this whole thing is just unbelievably sad. But let's hear what the leader of Canada, my boy Justin Trudeau, had to say about this. What does he have to say? Let's hear what he has to say.
We understand that making sure we're respecting people's rights and their choices at the same time as we protect the most vulnerable is a very important but challenging balance to establish.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is cool and all, Justin, how you think that, like, people being able to have assisted suicide and killing themselves is, like, a right and everything in Canada, but, I was wondering, while we have you here, could you maybe explain some of these photos? Can we pull them up? Jamie, can you pull that up? Thank you. I mean, wow, I was just wondering, I'm just kind of, I'm just asking questions here, Justin, I'm not the bad guy, I'm not out to get you, I'm just kind of curious, like, what was going on in your headspace, in these photos. I mean, I'm just asking questions, okay, I'm just the question guy, alright, that's it.
If Canada goes ahead with the amended legislation, we will have some of the most lenient assisted dying laws in the world.
Jeff, did I say anything in my sleep last night about farm animals or Brian Williams?
I don't think so.
Cool. Lucky Charms?
How are you so satisfied all the time, Abed? I mean, don't you ever want anything more out of life than cereal?
Sometimes I like to pour hot cocoa mix into cold milk and drink it like a cold hot chocolate. I call it special drink.
And someday you will know it by its true name, diabetes.
You're Goldie Hawn, Jeff.
I'm sorry?
You're Goldie Hawn.
Is it the lips?
No. In Overboard, she was just like you. Wealthy, assertive, arrogant, got manicures all the time. But then she fell off her boat, and it was a good thing for her because ultimately she realized she was happier being poor and raising 4 unruly boys with Kurt Russell.
Can I not be Kurt Russell in this scenario?
You can do whatever you want. You just have to know what that is. For me, it's Lucky Charms and TV.
So you may be wondering, how could the Canadian government possibly think that something as serious as depression and mental illness is something that they can profit off of? And I have the answer for you, or at least a little bit of what I think. And it's that, yes, this is a dystopian healthcare, and it's really messed up, But also, we live in a bit of a dystopian society.
We live in a society.
I mean, nowadays, it's cool if you're depressed. It's cool if you have a mental illness. That's why you have all these weird 16-year-old girls who try to self-diagnose themselves with whatever mental illness they could bring up in their imagination. It's why when you go on different social medias, the algorithm will feed you all these sad posts. It's why a lot of young men, all they get on social media is Patrick Bateman edits and Ryan Gosling clips from Blade Runner 2049. I tested this out and I just liked like one sad thing on social media, and then all I got after that, the algorithm just fed me just a bunch of sad clips. I mean, just look at all these.
First of all, suicide was kind of dumb to me. Like, the idea is like, if I want to kill myself, I will. It's not hard to die. I could do it like right now. But like, number two,
Jesus Christ.
Damn. No, but that's real. Like, you gotta be honest. Like, why is everybody pretending like everything's okay? Everything's not okay. Like, we are more connected than we've ever been. But I feel more alone than I've ever been. Like,
This question, if you were to die right now, how would you feel about your life? I don't know. I wouldn't feel anything good about my life. Is that what you want to hear me say? Fine. Come on. Not good enough.
20 census just came out, and for the first time in American history, the number of white people went down.
So,
bro, you're so talented.
Appreciate you, bro.
It's just beyond depressing. It's so depressing. And I think the thing to take from this is that I don't think they even realize that most of these movies and that they're clipping up for these sad, depressing, edits and all of that, most of them have a message that is saying, hey, yeah, you might be depressed or lonely, but it doesn't have to stay that way. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to keep on making Ryan Gosling edits. You can actually move on from that. Like, for example, Blade Runner 2049. I mean, I didn't mean for this to turn into a Blade Runner 2049 video essay, but here we go. In the movie Blade Runner 2049, we follow a character who feels nothing but loneliness, and feels as if his life is completely meaningless. And without spoiling too much of the movie's plot, I mean, if you want to watch this movie, completely spoiler free, just skip this part. Anyways, in the movie, the main character discovers new things about himself and begins to wonder if there's more meaning to his life than he originally thought, leading him on this journey, which is what the movie is about, where he begins to believe that he is special and that his life is one of the most meaningful lives to have ever lived. Of course, this is a very quick summary, but it's all revealed to him that it's not true. He's not a special person. He's actually just as degular as he thought he was, leading his mental state back to where he started. Once again, he is left feeling lonely and more meaningless than he has ever felt before. But it is in this last act of the film that our protagonist realizes that what makes his life meaningful isn't whether or not it is seen by others as meaningful, or if his status in society is meaningful. It is whether or not he makes it meaningful. Okay, that's the end of the video. Yeah, appreciate all the support recently. It's actually been insane how fast this channel has grown over like the past couple weeks. Appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed and is here listening right now. But that's all I wanted to say. I got more cool things coming. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Keep it based. Bye.
And remember, kids, the next time that somebody tells you the government wouldn't do that, oh yes they would.